Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation, looking for the right question to ask, to generate and to produce the syllability, the language, to axiomatize sensorality with showing direct linguistic letters or iteration of the letters. So continuing on, right? Big conceptual connection, right? We have that kind of form, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And we're trying to kind of find that for sensorality. And so sensorality filters, filtering preferences. So we made that big jump to our logic is still consistent and we have a new word, a preference. A sensorality or sensoralities are preferences. Preference inference. Sensorality infers. Sensorality is inferality. Feral infer. Sensorality is inference. Inference, influence, right? Remember, fluency is influential. Showing this natural definition, right? You can have everybody ask 100 linguists what is fluency, and you're going to get a bunch of different answers. But definitions are literally definite. And so words are naturally defined, and so we have this, at least a fundamental stability of two, codified in our language in a bunch of different aspects. And so we're trying to find the two pair words for sensorality, but in general, all languages are is consistent. And so we have these natural definitions where you don't choose a definition, right? Fluency is influential. The word influential spells out fluent. And that's true for all words and right, all languages generalized outside of one individual. Sensorality is inferentiality. Speciality differs, right? Speciality differs, sensorality prefers. What is preference to difference, right? If you prefer something, you like it, or you like it more than other things. If if something is different than something else, it's just not the same. If you prefer it, it could be different, it could not be. Just asking the question to pose the logic, trying to find this right question. Algorithmicality is recipality, right? Recipe, we connected that one a long time, or 30, 40 episodes ago, a couple months, but we didn't even generalize it, just kind of popped back up. Recipe, recipality. Recipality, reciprocity. Reciprocity is equality. Sensorality is reciprocality. I've already done that one well. Now here's another big one. So it's like I said, remember, we're deriving the structure of language, but it's not like I didn't exist before I was deriving it all and using these words. And so this entire time, kind of a face palm moment, but remember I defined integrated words versus amalgamated words. Amalgamated words are compound words. Right? So it's like I put a label on something that's already well defined. So an amalgamated word, it's a big reduction of what I said, but do compound words exist? Yes. But then they're just adjectives, right? The structure of that sentence, a compound word or an integrated word, right? Words are irreducible. And so we have to just try to find this right question to ask. But that was literally funny to me. It's this entire time I've been saying amalgamated words and it's a compound word. Right, it's something you learn in fourth grade, third grade, and you've been using intuitively your whole life. But like I said, we're deriving the structure of language. What is the relationship of preferential and differential? Right, a partial differential, a total differential, or a complete differential. If you're preferential, again, you prefer, you like it more than other things. It's a subset. A preference is a subset. Differential, and just trying to connect the logic to mathematical ontology, and logic being much more general than just math. But differential again produces difference, derivation produces derivative. So a partial differential, and we'll get back to that in a second. Affinity is preferential, right? If you have an affinity for something, you prefer it. Affinity gravitates. Preferentiality gravitates. What is the relationship of difference and respect? That probably strikes you as in like a social justice context, but the phrasing I'm getting at is you take the derivative of y with respect to x. So what is the relationship of difference and differentiation? Right? Differentiation acknowledges differentiation produces difference, right? Trying to keep it chronologically in order. Derivation produces derivative. And remember, you have some sort of base, you have a magnetic monopole, you can't separate that anymore, but you have a base and then you have a derivative from a base. A differential is more general than a derivative. And so differentiation is more general than derivation. Or is it? Yeah, because like I said, we're deriving sensorality. There's a big old universe out there, a whole bunch of facts, information, physical processes, and we're trying to find this natural pairing of language to what is sensorality with the direct linguistic iteration. And then differentiation, but all of this difference existed outside of me or you or any one individual. And so differentiation is definitely more general than derivation. Derivation always goes to zero because you're like effectively dividing, and differentiation is just separate. But right, because you have total differentials such as like the impulse function in Newtonian mechanics, which again still solves Navier-Stokes, but again, like the first thing you have to address for that problem again is compressibility. Is anything it's like take an incompressible liquid. It's like everything is compressible because there's gaps in mass. So it's like that question just doesn't even make any sense. The point being is you have a total differential and then you have a partial differential, or you're solving a partial differential equation. And so I'm just trying to provide any more logic I can on this, but we've already derived derivation. So it's like there's not much more to say. What is a differential to a derivative? Again, a differential, just the overall logic of a difference, and then derivative, you start with a base going to zero. And so this fundamental stability of two is yin, yang, right, wrong, left, right, male, female. All right, there's a fundamental differentiation, codified or stabilized within physical properties. Growth is unlimited. Infinity is unlimited. Infinite is unlimited. Quitting limits. An edge is a limit. A membrane is a filter. Permeability is porous. Words are compounded syllables, right? Compound words. Right? If we compound syllables, we get words. But then the immediate question is, what about the words that are like A or I, where it's just one letter, one sound, but it's a whole complete word? Just overall, again, just trying to find this right question with all of the logic we've been discussing, all of the physics, math, economics, literally everything. And it's going to connect to some form of the word we've already used and we use every single day. Compounding grows, growing gains, gaining increases, decreasing declines, sensorality declines, declining rejects, rejecting refuses. Shuffling resorts, right? Now we have this again, we add a space or we hyphenate the word resort, re-sort, right? Sensorality shuffles. A path is a way. Reconciliation resolves. Athletes are athletic. Sensorality is athleticality. I know we've already done that, but again, we're going to hit some redundancy because we're trying to close this proof. And so again, we're in that funnel, we're getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, and it'll be inevitable. Again, whether I'm literally alive, I don't see why I wouldn't be, but whether I'm alive or not to do it, because again, all of this derivation is built on the axiomatization of speciality. And so once we completely derive the base pair or whatever the operative word is for sensorality and prove it, we'll hit this stabilizing theorem like a million times. And so it's not like it's going to be, like I said, we're just learning a vocab word. What is psyche to physique? In these two kind of forms of words where it's like physique kind of looks like physics, but you're talking about your body, and then psyche is kind of like your mentality, but it also looks like physics or psychology. Just kind of like words where it's like they're around, everyone uses them, but it's like they're kind of like out there, I guess. I don't know, they just feel differently to me. Sensorality is prescientality. Premonition is prescient. Just another form of sensorality that I encountered in the wild. Liking prefers. Sensorality likes. Speciality dislikes. A preference is special. Sensorality is organicality. Sensorality is organality. And so that is the derivation I have for you today. Again, my constitutional rights continue to be violated. We couldn't get to part 241 in 7 years of public derivation if any of these steps didn't make sense. All we have to do is continue to work through our logic and eventually hit the stabilizing theorem and codify or axiomatize what is sensorality. So thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.